Alrighty, so welcome. Thanks, folks, for jumping in to watch what might be a pretty anticlimactic stream. I don't know. I'm getting cold feet about maybe doing some laps around Monaco to try to break the negative rank, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Just get things set up a little bit here, but let me know, everybody, if you're able to hear me and everything. It feels like every time I do a stream, the settings are all completely different. But I will show the screen here, and we're taking a look at the current rank. So this is the third time I've streamed this stuff. So for those that have no idea what the GPL rank is, it's really the competition within GPL to see how quick you really are compared to everybody else. And so before the advent of online racing and esports, there was basically time trials, glorified time trials, to see how quick one could be at all the various tracks in Grand Prix Legends. And I've always wanted to try to be as quick as possible, or get what's called a negative rank with the core Grand Prix Legends tracks. And so we've been doing that over the past couple streams. And so, been taking the Brabham car. If we look here in the first column, Brabham, we could do this with any of the cars, but what we have on the left is all of the tracks for Grand Prix Legends, and then the Brabham car and how quick we've been. And so there's basically a benchmark time for every circuit, and we're going to try to go quicker than that around every track. So I think last time out we did Mosport Park to beat that 123.134. We ended up with a 122.926, and it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. Monza was the first one, and I already had a couple of the times set previously. I think Kailami, Mexico were two that I've done previous. Watkins Glen we did in the Monza stream as well. But today we're going to do the Monaco time, and yes, I've beat it already with the Eagle and Ferrari, but I want to try to get all of the times with the Brabham, and so yeah, I think things are going to be okay. I really clobbered the time in the old Ferrari 312, but for the Brabham, I think it'll be a little harder than the Ferrari. The Ferrari feels really good around Monaco. So our time to beat for Monaco is going to be the 129.326, and if we beat that, we'll do another circuit as well, and so we'll definitely take votes on what people would want to see for maybe a second circuit if we're able to get the Monaco circuit pretty quickly. So I'll just get things set up here, but we'll jump right in. I'm just going to get the lap time up on another screen to make sure I don't forget how quick we actually want to be. So 129.326, which is pretty quick, I think, overall. Alright, and we'll nix some of the music here, since we're going to be listening to the awesome engine sounds. But we'll jump into Grand Prix Legends here. So, like with the other streams, we're doing this time attack pretty much on default settings for everything. So you definitely don't have to race Grand Prix Legends with all of the default settings and everything, but just in the spirit of trying to keep things kind of vanilla, and with everything, the sim is pretty much unaltered. It's about as vanilla as you can get, about as basic as you can get for Grand Prix Legends. No real mods installed, just a couple of niceties to make it good for modern times. The big important thing is making sure you're actually using default physics, default cars, which up until recently was pretty easy to do, but now with some of the new mods, it's actually kind of hard, or pretty easy to alter your game so that it's not the default everything. So this is default everything and all its glory. It's kind of fun to experience all the circuits this way, but we'll jump into the Monaco circuit and I want to jump into car setup right away. A ton of fuel in the car, which we definitely don't need. Of course, it'll take a couple of laps to get the tires up to temperature, so I'll put like 5 gallons in the car. We'll lower our steering ratio. Ride height's actually already up there a little bit. We'll take a look at our drivetrain Actually going to change this to be quite an aggressive setting. 45, 85, and we'll save this as GPL rank settings. We'll start with this. We'll have to see. Let's check tire pressures real quick. Should be 18, 22. So actually, I'll bump these up to 19 in the front and go down to 19 in the back. Try to do the same all around, and we'll see. We'll see how good that goes. Jump into the car. All right. So I've got the old lap times up at the top of the screen as well, so we'll be able to track the sectors. I normally try not to have any displays on the screen, but for something as tactical as this, we'll want to see exactly how well we're doing as we go here. I'm trying to remember how to drive this boat. I've been doing quite a bit of racing with the 67 X mod recently, which has the cars a little easier to drive right off the pit lane. I think overall much more realistic, and definitely my choice to experience the 67 season. Down to first gear here. Right into the tight hairpin. See if we can make it around with our steering lock the way it is. Able to do that. We could open it up a little bit if we need to. But it almost feels, at this circuit, it almost feels like you're barely driving the car as we're swirling around trying to get on the throttle through the tunnel. And this will, of course, be the original chicane version of the circuit, so won't need to slow down nearly as much as at all to get through there. And sliding into the wall, losing a tire, so gonna need to obviously slow the car down quite a bit more. Coming into the into Tabak there towards the end of the lap, but there'll be a lot of wall hits in this one for sure. So if anybody ever wanted to see me crash the car, it's gonna happen quite a bit. But gotta get used to, accustomed to the car quite a bit here. Feels like it's almost a placebo effect, but the suspension makes you feel like you're sitting so low on the ground in this car that it's so much different than some of the mods or updates for Grand Prix Legends. Get it down into first. Ooh, locking everything up and spinning out. We'll loop it back around. No other cars to worry about today, which is going to make things much easier. So overall ramp angles are how aggressive the clutches are on throttle and then off throttle. And so if I haven't quite figured it out myself, to be honest, but the higher the first number is and the lower the second number is, the more aggressive it is overall. So on the throttle, you're more likely to spin the tires and get loose, and off the throttle, when you let off coming into the corner, the more likely the car is to kind of spring sideways and go a little out of control. So ultimately, if you can handle it, having a very aggressive setting is typically much faster. I found the one adverse effect, almost crash it into back again. The one adverse effect is you're almost spinning the car on entry. You might have to back up your braking zone a little bit more, so it's interesting to see what the best settings might be. But I found that 85-45 setting to be pretty good at the other circuits. I think that's what ultimately got us over the lap time when we were at Monza, which took quite a long time to get. And it was really changing that diff setting that really opened up the car and enlightened me, if you will, to how important it is to get the diffs correct. And reading a bit more, I mean, these cars, all these settings and things that you can change really weren't things that the teams were changing frequently. A lot of these things were almost built into the car as such, or wouldn't be thought of as settings to change. And so the diff is one of those where they were not changing diff ratios and things back in these days. They were changing transmission top ends and things to make sure, you know, at Spa they were able to achieve a higher speed than at Monaco, but it's definitely to the extreme in these sims and how you can adjust the car. Alright, so we'll see. It's gonna take a few laps here to get up to a decent speed. But we'll see at the end of this first lap how quick the car is. Just really on a outlap here. You can see the times coming in at the top of the screen. Top row will be our ideal lap time. I'll talk about that one quite a bit, since that's ultimately, if we're doing everything perfect, what we can do. Come across the line though, 1:35, so we're quite a bit off that 1:26 time that we need to get. But that was a very slow lap. Top of the hill here. In third gear right now, might ultimately want second for this complex through Casino. Just gotta make sure I don't tap any of the walls and throw away the run. It's gonna be very easy here once the tires get up to temperature to throw it all away really quick and have to go through the whole heating cycle over again. Time to beat's a 1:29.326. I think I said 1:26, but 1:29.326. So got about 4 seconds, 5 seconds to gain, but I think it'll be pretty quick to do. And that always gets me, how basically get the car pointed and are able to point the car and accelerate through the narrow gap that is the chicane, through to Bach there, and now up to the final hairpin. Whoa. Sliding the car every which way. 1:32 now, so we're just about 3.5 seconds off of the time. This one might be pretty easy to get overall, which would be awesome compared to how long it took at Mosport and the other circuits. Done a lot of laps at Monaco over the years, so it'd be nice to get this one pretty handily. Oh, missing the right-hander there is nailing the wall and off the suspension. I thought I was just gonna get it there, but unfortunately breaking the front left suspension off, so will not get it on that run. As I'm explaining how bullish I am to getting the time quickly, just clobbering the suspension there. All right. So the car feels fine. I don't think there's any setting changes that are needed. It's more just getting the laps in. We'll see here. So just done 2 timed laps really, 1:35 then 1:32, and of course we're aiming for that 1:29.326. I'll say for the default sounds, the Brabham here sounds pretty dang good. Down into first for the very tight section, and it's incredible how this track feels even too small for this car back in the 60s. You'd think, I mean, the circuit was first raced I think in the 30s. You'd think the circuit would be a little more suited for cars of this era, but I don't know if it's just the Grand Prix Legends version, but even the other versions I've tried and Assetto Corsa R Factor of the 60s version of the circuit, it still just feels way too cramped for these cars. And today it's almost ridiculous how unsuited the cars are for the circuit, but it's just tradition. And the races suffer for that reason. Getting all kinds of sideways, coming across the lines. We'll start a lap here. First lap. It's not going to be the one, but I think if we can do maybe 5 laps or so, we'll be able to get this 1:29 time. Coming over the hump. Whoa, locking up the tires a little bit and spinning out, but just avoiding the wall. Get up on the curb a little bit there. Yeah, I do think Tom Anderson, that's right, the 1.5 liter cars up until 1965, they do feel more suited, but if you race the 55s around here, they're way too heavy to slow down quickly. And then the 67 cars or 66 and beyond, they're just too fast for the circuit. So I think overall, it's one of those weird things that just became way more popular than anything else. And even though it's not the best race, everybody still treasures it as one of the greatest. And it's definitely a spectacle racing through such a incredible city as Monaco. Locking up everything. Alright, see if we can put this one together. The tires feel a little more up to temperature this time. Working up the hill. Into second. Car almost spinning out at the top of the hill. Trying to hold it close this time. Don't want to run out wide into the barriers. And almost as soon as we're on the accelerator, we're on the brake as well. Just balancing and right foot braking in this car. Hold it close to the curb there, swinging out wide a little bit. Maybe want to reduce our steering ratio a little bit to be able to hold it closer. Turn it a little tighter, but try to get on the throttle as soon as we can, short shifting a little bit, not to spin the tires up through 4th gear. And hitting that curb to the outside, which throws the car all over the place. And spinning out into Tabak. So pushing a little too hard, for sure. Harder than I need to. Jump back to the bits. I think I'm going to reduce the steering ratio just a little bit. That'll make me be able to turn just a little bit tighter. Do 8-1. And I think otherwise settings seem pretty good. I might raise the tire pressures all around 1%. But everything else should be good. Yeah, ramp angles are good. It's hard to slow down at the bottom of the hill without a lot of grip. If you're a little late on the brakes in these cars, it's just not possible to slow down. It's the consequence that I feel like's missing from a lot of modern cars is, it's a much more twitchy car, the tighter steering ratio, but it'll be good. A little unrealistic, I think, with the 8-1, but you can see how much the front tires move now when I just jostle the wheel a little bit. Whoa. I'll have to reset the car there. But yeah, in modern cars with downforce, it's just way too easy to slow the car down, honestly. And in these, if you're just a little late on the brakes, very easy to get into trouble, run wide. And at a circuit like this, there's no room to run wide, so things catch up quickly. through Tabak that time, even though missed the apex and everything a little bit. Cross the line and start the first time lap, but still going to be a little slow on cold tires. So we're aiming for a 1:29.326 would be the time to beat. So far, ideal time's down to 1:31, but honestly, I've not put in a good lap yet. Oh, really tight through the hairpin. Way down now towards the tunnel. Try to get on the throttle as soon as possible. Come over the crest of the hill, let the car set up flat out through the chicane, and then slow it down for Tabak. Blow it down into second gear. Car squirreling all over the place. Just got a good sector there. All kinds of sideways coming into the final. Hairpin locking up the tires everywhere. Just being more aggressive than maybe I should be. Turning a 1:31 on that lap. Optimal, ideal time down to a 1:30. So we're about a second off total. And tapping the inside barrier there. We'll have to see if the steering is off at all. I think things might feel okay. Flat through the tunnel. It's actually not possible to take the tunnel flat. The fourth gear, keep it in fourth over the top of the crest, then nearly flat out through the chicane. I can probably get it up to fifth there, to be honest. So the car feels okay, no damage there on the right front. Oh, I'm gonna spin out here. We'll try to make it work. I thought I might be able to loop it all the way around. All right, let's see if we can put in a good lap here now. Oh, make sure I don't hit the wall. I'm raising my hand a little bit. Come down now. Through the tunnel again. We'll see if we can get up to fifth gear this time. Not sure if it's a good idea. Not too bad though. Over the top of the hill. Make sure we can shift down correctly. And slamming into Tabak. So it's the bane of my existence. Tabak. We'll have to reset the car, I think. So far, I think pretty easy to get the speed. We're down. Ideal lap time's a 1:29.8. Best lap so far is a 1:31. But I honestly have not done a good lap yet. Pushing a little too hard, I think, tonight. It's all about, gotta back things up a little bit. See if we can do a couple out laps. I reset the car there, so something you can do in testing that you can't do in a race is just reset the car quickly where it is on the track. So we're back to stock things, but it also resets the tire heat, tire pressures, and everything. It's almost like we just left the pits after sitting for a while. Yeah, and if things end up proving too difficult here, it might put in a less severe differential. But I'm convinced if I just can wrangle the car here, we could actually do the time pretty easily. So this lap is kind of a throwaway lap. We'll see, just make it nice and tidy. Whoa, as I say that, throwing the car sideways and slamming the wall is not gonna do. Reset the car again. You can see under braking, the car wanders all over the circuit. It's definitely a lively vehicle. So we're coming into a very weird angle into the final chicane. It's hard to stick to that outside wall with the left-hander leading up to it. Hey, GT Speedster, how you doing? Try to do my best to take a look at the comments when I can, but definitely a handful around here. Come around now towards the hairpin. We want to try to keep it as wide as we can on entry and then swing it into a narrow exit. Off camber there, that right-hander makes it difficult. Flat right-hander now and leading onto a long straight. Want to make sure we get a good exit, but can't run too wide. The curbing on the outside picks up. Oh, I'm trying not to do the same mistake there again. Made it through to back that time. Oh, I'm gonna spin the car out, but able to keep it off the wall. Come around the chicane, no harm done. Come around the hairpin there. Working the wheel a ton here. It's a very physical circuit in these cars. A lot of input corrections. Could probably race overall a bit more smoothly. Kind of 3/4 throttle through that whole complex this time. all the way down from 5th to 2nd through Tabak, all kinds of sideways. Need to brake a little bit sooner there. It's so easy to run wide. And same into the final hairpin. Just the braking zones are so long in these cars. So the 130.10, we're pretty close to the 129.3 that we need. The ideal time is just 0.3 off. I must have been having a pretty good day when I did a 127 around here in the Ferrari. Oh, and just nipping that inside curb, spinning out, that lap was feeling pretty good. To see if we can turn it around here, a little bit of a Austin Powers moment. Try not to go too quickly in reverse. Don't want to clobber the wall there, damage the gearbox. Just taking around the rest of this lap. Let's see if we can put a lap together here. The tires are feeling pretty good up to temperature. And just keep it nice and close to the curbing on the inside. Kinds of oversteer there. Down to first gear. Try not to spin it out, but of course do that. Kept the power in it though. Nice power slide to spin it back around. So I think hopefully this shows the amount of effort that it takes to actually to do this. It's almost a little bit of a pitiful driving excuse here, but hey, we're not all perfect every day. Hitting the curb there. The car might be just a little too sensitive with the steering ratio we went down to. But it does help us get around the tight hairpins at each end of the circuit. Grabbing second gear pretty late there. Like to downshift mid-corner, but I think it feels better to have second through there. Making a mess out of the beginning of this lap. locking up the brakes into Tabak. Was a little scared to try to actually take the apex this time. Might have to look at actually what the brake bias is set up. It's one of the settings I didn't really check. Work our way up the hill, down to third, down to second. Down to first gear, nice and conservative, just really keeping like there's an egg under the throttle. Taking a weird line there, but letting the car go where it wants to. Get on the throttle. Wow, and just barely making it through the chicane. Down to second gear. Sliding it through Tabak. This lap's all right overall, a little messy. Oh, and locking it up into the final hairpin, but somehow able to stay out of the wall. Come across the line. 130.4, so we're about a second off on that lap. See if we can improve that a bit. Definitely can be smoother. Try to get a good exit here. Lighting up to a purple sector there, which means best that I've done so far. Come over the hill. Much better line this time through the chicane. Able to keep it mostly flat out, down to second into Tabak. Hold it nice and tidy. Try to squeeze on that throttle. Braking plenty early to try to get a good run up the outside into the hairpin, get a good exit. Overall, a pretty good lap as we come across the line and hit a 128.54, so making it all stick, breaking that 129.326 barrier. So overall, not too hard of a lap to hit. I really just had to put a few laps together to get it, but very pumped that I got the time. They're not too bad. Just 45 minutes into the stream. I think about 30 minutes of driving is not too bad from a cold start there. But we'll let things cool down a little bit. I think there's probably a lot to improve on that lap, and I actually want to watch it. I don't think I'll try to do any quicker at Monaco tonight, but interested to see maybe where the lap could have been better. So if we look at our lap progression, so we did 16 laps, I guess, however GPL counts it, and if we come down, we did 2 laps in the 30s. Actually went slower on lap 15, probably made a mistake there, and then on lap 16 hit that 128.54 to get us over the line. So let's hit pause here on the replay. We'll go to roll bar and do a nice overview on the lap here. Just hit rewind real quick, but yeah, I think there's probably a lot to improve on this lap. It didn't feel specifically quick. It's funny, you know, Monaco is one of those circuits I feel like if you do a full race, you end up doing some pretty quick laps because you kind of zone out. But the lap before, yeah, we ran really wide, so we got a lot of power down through the hairpin. We'll come across the line, I'll comment this lap. So coming over the line, we'll head through into the first corner, down into second gear. Try to get that throttle down. Honestly, could get on it much quicker there if I took a proper line. Lots of mini corrections. At the top of the hill, though, down to third, down to second. And try to keep it really tidy onto the inside curb. Well, actually hitting the curb there, missing the second apex, but straightening it out, getting over the hump. You really can't get the throttle down at all at the top of the hill. Down to first, though, through the double right-hander, left-hander. Keep it nice and wide. Flick it out to the right there, right before the tight hairpin in first gear. Back up, keeping it in second there. Across, then do a nice exit. Have to get back onto the main tarmac. Third gear, just balancing the throttle. A lot of mini corrections again, could smooth that out. Up through fifth, over the hump, just flat out through the chicane there. That's probably why the lap was so quick. Down to second gear again through Tabak on the left, and work our way towards the hairpin. A brake plenty early, I think, on this lap. So very conservative. Ooh, over revving a little bit into first gear, into the hairpin, but making a pretty early apex. A couple corrections again. So I think there's easily another second in that, just because of how many little corrections there were on the steering wheel and everything. But hey, the time is the time. So what can you say about it? So we'll save the old replay here. So what's today, the 12th of February. Alrighty, we'll finish that session. All right, so we did Monaco. So I'm going to take a second here, take a quick break, and get the times added in. Start some music again. So I'm going to get the times added in to GPLRank, and we'll take a look at that in a second. So I'll be right back. All right, so we'll show here how everything's looking ranking-wise, but we got the time uploaded now, so we hit our 1:28.542 at Monaco. So now we're sub the 1:29.326 time. which is good. That's what we were aiming for. And so overall, I'm going to hide this real quick once again. So I wanted to do another circuit, and I'm going to put a link to a straw poll in the chat for everybody to vote. But basically, if we look here at what's left to do, we've got Nürburgring, Rouen, Silverstone, Spa, and Zandvoort left to round out. And I'm going to save the Nürburgring as much as I know folks want me to do that circuit, but I'm going to save the Nürburgring kind of for last, if that's all right. That one will be fun to do. It might be really easy. Oh, I know I've done it much quicker than an 821 before, but you never know. Doing the stream and racing the car cold, it could take a while, but I want to save that one for last. So we got the other 4 circuits: Rouen, Silverstone, Spa, and Zandvoort. And I want to try to do one other one tonight. So I'll let everybody vote, and I have a great feeling I know what circuit folks are going to want me to do. But we can see here what everybody's voting for. So we'll give it maybe a couple minutes total to let people vote. It looks like I've got maybe 45, 50 people watching, which is awesome. I know it's pretty late. I mentioned this in the last stream. It's pretty late for a lot of the people that watch my videos. So and no real announcement that I was going to do this. So I appreciate people coming out overall to watch. But let a few people vote, and we'll throw up the results and see what that's all about. So votes are coming in. I got 8 votes so far. We'll leave it to a few more, I think, before I show the results. I don't want to let the results influence anybody's opinion on which circuits I should be doing. And I know some of the GPLRank circuits are actually harder than others, so I'm interested to see. Like Monza was pretty difficult. Mosport was not too easy. I think Watkins Glen only took like 20 minutes total to get. And I don't think I'm that much better at any of those circuits, so it's pretty interesting to see how different some of them can be. All right, well, we'll show the votes. I got 8 votes, and it looks like Zandvoort is the clear winner. Let's see if we can refresh. Oh, got way more votes. Oh my God, we're tied. Zandvoort and Rouen. So we'll give it just another minute or two to see if to see what's gonna win. I didn't realize I had to actually refresh the results. So it is 8:49. So we'll refresh at 8:50, and whatever it is, then we're gonna do. And I appreciate folks watching. Interesting. A lot of Canadians. I'm actually Canadian myself. Living in America. Been in America my whole life. I don't know if I can say I'm Canadian. I've got Canadian family. All right, we're just about to hit 8:50. So get your last votes in. We're tied between Rouen and Zandvoort. It'd be interesting. I do a lot of racing at Zandvoort. Rouen, not as much. Not as much happening there in the GPL era. I know it was the one included with Grand Prix Legends originally, but all right, so we'll refresh one more time, and that's it. So Zandvoort wins 9-8 votes, 39%. So that's a fun way to do things. I might do some more of this, but okay. So we'll take a look now. We're gonna do Zandvoort. So we're looking for a 126.8. 126.848. Which is pretty quick. I've done quicker in the Ferrari, apparently. But not a ton quicker. Not like we had in Monaco. And Zandvoort's a tricky circuit overall, to be honest. Just the undulations through the sand dunes and everything. It's not the easiest circuit, so should be interesting to see how well we can do. But we'll come in here and choose Zandvoort, and we're aiming for that 126.848. And Zandvoort's a great track. It's actually been a long time since I've seen it in the default sim, but we'll see what things look like here. So set up our car a little bit. I'll do 6 gallons of fuel, do 10-to-1. We don't need it to be too quick steering here. I'm going to do 20 PSI all around. Look at a ride height's 2.5, so I'm going to raise this a little bit. 2.5 is just really low. 3.0, and we'll take a look at the rear diff. We want it to be, we're going to do a 45/85. All right, so that should be enough to get us started. Save our GPLRank setup and head out on the circuit. So to me, the most difficult corner at Zandvoort is turn 1, Tarzan here. It's just slowing down for it that ends up being tough, especially if we have this aggressive diff like we do. The rest of the circuit, it's very nice and flowing, and it's just going to be about hitting that line right. Again, we're looking for a 1:26.848 to get the rank time here. We'll slide the car. There'll be a lot of four-wheel drift here through the sand dunes. This track, more than almost any other, feels like a painting with the older textures that it has. I'm using a G27 wheel and pedals. Pedals, I have the G27 wheel, stock, 100% stock. Would love thinking about getting something new, but it served me so well and works really well with Grand Prix Legends. So the wheel is stock. The pedals, I'm using a couple mods. I got the Bowdenar cable. And then spring alteration. So the Bowdenar cable is what actually connects it to my computer, and that gives it more fidelity. So when I push the pedals, rather than, let's make some numbers up, but rather than registering 100 different points at which I could be at on the pedal, it measures 1,000. And it's one of those things that you don't immediately notice, but I noticed a lot in my braking, especially in like iRacing and things. Just help make things more predictable. And then I got a spring mod to make the springs stiffer in the pedals overall. So alright, so on our first real lap here, navigate through the sand dunes. I love the switch back and forth. Oh, I'm gonna run a little wide here, but the sand able to slow the car down. That's one of the things about Zandvoort that I think makes it an easier track than a lot. The runoffs are pretty good in a lot of areas, so if you do run a little wide, you have a chance of it working out for you. Alright, so coming across the line, 134 was a pretty bad lap. We're aiming for a 1:26. Sliding the car there, this left-hander. This part of the circuit should be the same as it is today. It will be this year in Formula One. I think everybody eager to see F1 tackle Zandvoort once again, but coming over this ridge here, this is where the circuit departures from the modern track. I don't think we really know what the actual modern track is going to look like. Almost flicking the car a little too much. Down to third gear for this final corner. Try to get the throttle on nice and good. We'll head down the front straightaway. So a little quicker on this lap. Come across the line 129, so we're about 3 seconds off, which is good. We're heating up the tires. We're getting a little quicker each lap. That's what we want to see. Just getting the revs up there. Probably could shift to a different gear, but it's a tough choice. Up into fourth then. Just gonna nick the dirt on the outside there. Down into third. Stick to the outside here and then try to clip the apex. Ugh, clipping it quite literally there. So we'll work towards the start-finish line. So down into the 128s. This one might be a little more difficult than most. Like 2 seconds. I'm not going super quick just yet, but it's definitely not going to be a slouch of a lap time to break rank here. Oh, and just clipping the grass on the outside. Oh, and spinning out, hitting the fence. So ruining that lap. I see some folks talking about the bit rate overall of the video. Have to see maybe if I can improve bit rate overall. It's interesting because I haven't changed anything since previous, but I might have to restart the stream real quick here. So if everybody gives me just 1 second, we'll back out. I want to make sure the quality is good enough. I know some folks are trying to claim that it's Grand Prix Legends default, but if the bitrate's bad, the bitrate's bad. So give me 1 second here to fix some of the settings. All right, so back here, try to jump back in. I think sometimes you just got to restart stuff to make it work, but let me know if the quality looks good. So we got down to a 128. See if our settings are good. Our lap times are going to be reset because we're restarting the session, but 128, so we're about 2 seconds off of what we ultimately need. At the 126.848 is the time we're searching for here around Zandvoort. It's so crazy how much less grip the car has when you first take it out of the pits. Even the couple of laps I did, the car just felt totally different and hooked up compared to how it feels now. So I have to get things back to where they were. So we make our way out of the final corner. So a couple of laps in it before we have a real chance at contending with the lap time. Whoa, and the car getting all kinds of squirrely into Tarzan. Spun out here many times before. It seems every time I race at Zandvoort, I have an incident in the first corner. Not on a real lap yet. It's all about just getting those tires warmed up. Tough to tell whether or not it should be shifting down to third gear through any of these corners. A little wide through the final corner here. Alright, so we'll complete this first timed lap. Pretty slow because of the spin on Tarzan here. Turn one, down at a second. It's going to be pretty awesome to see the passes into this corner this year in F1. Try to run a little wide on the entry to the corners and grab that late apex, get the acceleration down. So 126.848 is what we're looking for. Already got that ideal lap time down into the 128s. Oh, car getting all kinds of squirrely. Try to get on the throttle here. All right, so semi quick lap this time. Get the 129. Braking a little late into T1. Oh, gonna run into the dirt on the outside. The sand just grabs the car there. But not hitting anything, which is the important part. Even though we're 3-4 laps in, the tires still are not up to full temperature. Breaking a nice line through that left-hander, but clipping the curb on the right. Oh, I'm gonna run a little wide. GT Speedster. If I do the Tarzan scream into the first corner, I'll go quicker. I might try it if we can't get the lap time here. Oh, I'm gonna run a little wide there. Keeping in a second, might need to go down to first for this one. Getting all kinds of sideways. Just nipping that dirt gets the car all kinds of messed up. Probably not too unrealistic. Run a little wide. Still not getting a great line through all these corners. Could definitely do a little bit better. Come to the line again. See what we're down to here. So we're searching for a 1:26.848. We're down to 1:28. So we got about 2 seconds to do. Put it into first gear here for this left-hander. But sliding it hardcore into the corner, not the quick line. Breaking a couple sector best laps though, best sectors. See, I'm dragging the ideal time down. That'll be the top time at the top of the screen here. Oh. The curbs here are monstrous. Oh, ruining the exit there, running a little wide. But making up quite a bit of time in that lap, down to 1:27.3, so getting into the range of a second off the time we need. Squirrely with the braking into T1. Oh, I'm gonna spin out here. Half spin. A little water. So the car's feeling pretty good. Might have to worry a little bit about fuel here. I think I put about 10 gallons in, 8 gallons. Get us maybe another lap too. It's definitely a balance. More fuel, slower car, but less fuel, the chance of running out. So we'll have to see on this next lap if I can really string something magical together. It's all about just getting that line right. Alright, so we'll try to get a good exit here. full throttle, just shifting up through fourth there, into fifth, over the line to start our lap. Down to second gear, into Tarzan, keep it a little out wide. What a clip. The apex late, second gear again. This right-hander, missing the apex a little bit, not too bad. Into first gear, almost losing the rear end again. Not getting a good run here up the hill. Making it all work though, but a little bit all over the place line-wise. So not the worst lap in the world. I think I got the ideal time down a little bit to into the 126s. We'll have to see here crossing the line, 128.2, but I've got the ideal time down pretty close to what we need. Getting all kinds of sideways there out of T1. Just worried now that I'm going to run out of fuel, honestly. A little more throttle there into this corner with the heel and toe. Very much not a good lap, this one. See if we can end strong here, though. I'm gonna spin out. I'm gonna have to call this run done. So getting really close to the time, but not quite getting it. Reset our car here. Take a quick look at the lap times so far. So quickest time is on lap 5 there with a 1:27.2. We're searching for a 1:26.8. And I've got my optimal down. I've got 12 laps of fuel, so I had a couple laps left. I really was only halfway, I guess, through that run. So we'll see here. Do another run. See if we can even things out a little bit. I don't feel like any setup changes are necessary. It's more just me being able to drive the car nice and smooth. But of course we're gonna have cold tires again here, so a few laps of nothing special coming right up. Gavin, I appreciate you as well. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the 42 people that have come out to watch tonight. Impromptu stream. Got some plans for a stream I'm going to talk about soon. I don't want to try to do an actual planned one because all of the streams I've done so far have been just feel like doing this tonight and or today or whatever, and gonna do one. So it'd be fun to plan one and maybe have a specific reason to be doing it. Just bouncing these cold tires here. into T1. Sliding really wide, but overall this won't be a good lap anyway. Just gonna keep it nice and tidy. Second gear actually feels pretty good through there. Don't lose the rear quite as much. Also harder to turn the car though. Whoa. Tank slapper there exiting. Just nipped the grass on the outside, which sent the car into a spin. The edges of the circuit are seemingly lined with quicksand or something. Grabs the tires. Not a circuit where you're allowed to run wide. You either have a really high curb or very sticky sand. Running into the dirt there. We'll cross the line here, start another lap. Try to keep it in second here, but running very wide, nipping the hay bales there on the outside. We'll see if the car is still centered. I think it feels okay. I'm always worried I'm going to actually set the quick lap on one where I make a big mistake, but to the whole spirit of the thing, so far that really hasn't been the case. Letting that car lean into the slide to slow it down. Alright, so coming to the end of the lap. Everything still feels straight and aligned. Somehow, after making some contact with the wall. Dancing it here through the slower corners. Hitting, raising my arm for no reason. Maybe just to show off a little bit. Tank slapper there, not quite as severe as the last one. Gavin, thanks for the $2. I will try not to spend that all in one place. See if I can spend it on making my car a little quicker here. Getting a little closer to the time. So 1:26.8 is what we need. 1:29, which was not a good lap, but I feel like any of these laps I could hit it if I can just be smooth. Pretty good run through Tarzan that time. Pretty good indeed, getting a good sector there. third here through this right-hander. I think the key's going to be just nice and smooth. There's a lot of medium to high-speed corners, especially the second half of this lap, where it's just all about the line and carrying speed. So far, putting a good lap together here. Getting a weird line through that one. Coming up towards the end of the lap. Nothing offensive so far in this one. Feeling pretty good about it. We'll have to see. This feels like maybe my first pretty good lap around the circuit. Trying to hit that 126.8. Coming to the line. 127.1. So just a few tenths off overall. Whoa, a tank slapper there out of Tarzan. It's going to slow things down quite a bit. The line's a lot better there. Third gear might be a little short. Up through fourth then. Just get that car sliding four-wheel drift through all the corners. Definitely is a fun circuit to drive. Very addictive once you get the lines. Missing that one a bit. Come across the line here. Was not as quick that time. Another 127, so at least being consistent. Getting a good run then. First sector felt awesome that time. Missing a shift slightly. But not slowing me down too much, I don't think. Almost overdoing it on the power slide there. And absolutely overdoing it. There is such a thing as warming up the tires too much. And thanks, the Poison 38, for the 5. Try to keep it up. I feel pretty close. I mean, we got the ideal lap time down to the 126.4, which is 4 tenths quicker than we actually need. 126.848 is what I'm searching for. I might have to move the button for my hand raise because I keep hitting it. It's the top right button on my wheel, but it seems my palm ends up there pretty often. All right, so we'll come towards the line then. I think I got it in me. Down at a second gear, compromising the entry a little bit. We'll see if we can swing that into a nice exit. Almost as soon as shifting it up to third there, go back down to second. We'll keep it in second here for this left-hander. Sliding a little wide, just half throttle until I can get it fully down. Third gear then for this right-hander. Wow, getting a nice exit there. That's very quick. Up to fourth gear. Once again, nice lines through here. This one could definitely be it. Feels a little more conservative overall than the last quick one, but Sometimes that's the way they work. Giving it a little more time before I'm getting on the throttle. Down to third gear for the final real corner. Sliding pretty wide. See if we can clip the apex on the exit there. Missing it quite a bit. I don't know if that was quick, but it felt really nice. So we'll come to the line. 127.0. So it's my quickest lap. About 0.2 off then. Put it into first. I think first is the right decision. Just have to blip that throttle enough to make the rear end not slide out. Just touching the dirt, it's going to slow me down quite a bit. Really lean into that banking. So missing too many apexes on this lap so far, I think. Oh, too much. Too much. And into the fence. Dang, ruining what should have been maybe the lap or two before the good ones. So reset of the car. Not the end of the world. I think we're getting close. Zandvoort definitely a little more tricky than Monaco was to get a good time. Interested, I actually don't really know the history around how the times were defined originally for the rank. Seems like some of the tracks are quite a lot easier than the others. Yeah, there's some weird bump in the circuit that I can't just chuck the car into a slide to help it corner. It grabs that bump and actually over-rotates the car. To let the tires warm up a little bit here. Alright, coming to the line then. Make sure I stop clipping the circuit, the edges of the circuit. Yeah, because in this part of the circuit, you can really slide the car quite a bit. But it really depends on how the circuit banking and bumps and things, and the car can certainly get upset over some stuff you can't even really see. coming to the line then. Tires are getting up there. Pretty close to our times. Trying to keep it nice and wide here. Ooh, almost flicking it off the circuit to the left. A little bit of oversteer in the exit. Second gear then for this right-hander. Slide it through nicely. Not too bad. Getting into first for this slow left-hander. The slowest corner on the circuit. And then up the gears into third. Get it into fourth here. Flat out over the top of the hill, down into third gear then. Try to keep it nice and tidy. On the gas as soon as possible for the run out. Down the back side of the circuit, fourth gear. Really sliding the car. Whoa, nicking the curbs. This corner is one of the trickier ones. It's quite a bit tighter than the others. Almost doing the same thing again. Down in a third gear. Then for the final corner, really screwing up the past couple corners there. All right, so we'll come across the line, take a look at what this is. 127.4. So quite a bit off that time, but the end of the lap was quite slow. Flat out. Shifting a little quickly there, short shift up to fourth, but I don't know if that really slowed us down at all. We're really not maximizing the rev range too often anyway. It's just the car gets way too nervous on full throttle. Oof. And overdoing it there, but I think we're safe in the dirt here. Stop sliding, there we go. Close to the fence, slid a lot further than I thought it would. Back on the circuit and trudge back towards another lap. Alright, I got a good feeling about this. So coming through the line then. Down into second gear for the first corner, Tarzan. Overdoing it, but spinning out. I didn't blip it enough coming into the tight left-hander here. Just the rear end locking up, spinning me around. Car feels really good now though. So I know it's got the speed. Our ideal lap time is, gosh, 7/10, 6/10 quicker than we need, so it just needs to be a conservative lap. A nice smooth conservative lap, not too slow, but nothing too fancy. Come out of the final turn then. Rocket towards the start-finish line. a long braking zone into turn 1. Hard into second gear there. Try not to drift too much. Blip the throttle well into first gear. Getting a solid exit. Third gear then, drifting a little wide, but we'll try to clip the late apex, get the throttle down for the long run. Down the back, getting on the dirt, and slamming into the fence. So ruining that attempt. This is turning into another Mosport situation. Try to do it for Dale here. Race Dale in the NASCAR video that I put out today. Wow, that's not going very far. But a lot of folks were saying that I should have followed Dale in that race to get up to the front of the pack. Might be interesting to do an actual NASCAR Let's Play, but I feel like folks that watch my videos really like the classic F1 stuff, so it's a little bit of a mismatch with the audience. Get a lot of interesting comments. Hey, but maybe expose some people to something they didn't know they'd like. I don't know. Oh, and the car just spinning out there, treating it like it has warm tires, but it really doesn't at this point. Just reset the car. Respect the time it takes to get the tires up to temperature. I'm using, excuse me, using OBS to stream GPL. GPL is a little bit of a trick to record. I've tried lots of softwares. It runs at 36 FPS, which is the weird part because nothing plays anything at 36 FPS. But thought for a long time that I had to record it at 36 FPS for it to be smooth. But in reality, really just needed to record it at 60 FPS, which is what I've settled on with the past few videos, and seems to work quite well. I think the stream should also be at that. The thing I've struggled with doing NASCAR series is what year do I actually start in. With NASCAR 2003, we're kind of blessed to have every season since 1979. And honestly would love to do a 70s series, and that's like the one era that doesn't exist in NASCAR 2003. But thought of starting at 1979, 1980. I did the video yesterday at 1995. You know, could start at late 80s, go into the 90s. I don't know. Do a more modern thing. Getting our tires up to temperature, then we gotta get our mind on the task. We gotta get a 1:26.848. I know I've got the speed in the car. I've got my ideal lap time down to a low 1:26. Just need to put it all together, hit some decent sectors, and I should be able to do it. Rocket past the start-finish line, down into second gear, into Tarzan. Second gear again there, just getting up to third for a second, and then back down into second. Rear end getting all kinds of weird through this slow left-hander. Almost throwing the car off to the left there again, or to the right, really. Hitting the left, going to the right. So, it's a pretty mediocre speed lap. I don't think this one's going to sneak it in at all. A few tenths off in every sector, but honestly, not a terrible lap. We'll see as we cross the line here. 127.7, so need to improve a little bit if I'm gonna beat that time. 126.8 is what we're looking for. Fourth gear there. Trying to get the apexes nice. Oh, thought I was going to make a good exit there, but clipped the dirt on both sides of the circuit. The car straight though. Yeah, when I originally played Grand Prix Legends back in 1999, really is when I got it, I did not have a wheel. Nobody had wheels, and I pretty much gave up on the sim because it's unplayable without a wheel. I had a keyboard. It wasn't really until I got a wheel in the early 2000s that it came alive. The game that really doesn't work with the keyboard. It doesn't have any keyboard amenities, if you will. Alright, making decent time through the first sector. Not the best that I've done by far. Let my pit board out of instinct there. Across the line, 127.76. Dangerously close to the outside there, but maybe capitalize on the second half of the corner. Ooh, all kinds of oversteer. Alright, so making it through the middle part of the lap, not too terrible. Come now, exit out of the final corner, almost nicking the dirt there. Come across the line. We got 127.4. Not having the speed that I need. I have to start thinking about potential setup adjustments. Like I said earlier, maybe a taller third gear could help. I do know I have the speed. I mean, my ideal lap time is well over the time I need, but also have to drive a little reckless to get there. I'm just getting squirrely all over the circuit, but setting a good sector there. Down into third, maybe a little premature on the downshift, but helps get the car nice and lined up for the final section here. Well, I'm running very wide there, hopefully not throwing it all away. So now work towards the line. This is gonna be not too far off. 126.5. Oh, all right. We're gonna throw it into the barrier at Tarzan, but hitting a 126.5, beating the 126.848 that I needed. So pumping the fists in the air a bit, but I didn't think that lap was gonna be it. I was looking at the lap time as I was going in the first sector. I mean, I'm 2/10 off. Set a perfect second sector, third sector, about a 10th, and so I was looking at 3/10. I don't know, but overall, not a bad lap. So let's watch, as we have done with the other circuits. Let's watch the lap. It only took 29 laps here. We're doing half a Grand Prix almost to do it, but 26.5 to round it out. So we'll take a look at the roll bar cam for this. And back it up here. So, not the best lap, but we'll see. We'll critique it as we go. I think, excuse me, there's clearly another half second in things from the setup and everything that I was driving. But all right, so ending the lap before. Coming towards the line then, and you won't be able to see it on the stream probably, but hitting about 170 at the line, almost 175 into braking. Down into second gear then. Yeah, nice and tidy on the exit there through Tarzan. Second again, ooh, a pretty squirrely line. Hitting the curb on the inside, but launched it really into this slower corner. First gear, then getting a good exit. Up to third. Do I hit fourth? Yeah, do fourth through here. This allowed me to really accelerate over the top of the crest, top of the hill. Down back into third then. See what good of an exit we get. Ooh, really clipping the inside of the apex. Almost hitting the dirt in the outside. A lot of squirrely corrections. Definitely some time to pick up there. But nailing those apexes pretty well. Yeah, through here. Ooh, clipping it a little bit. Too bad though, down back into third. Yeah, and I think third through that last section, especially if I made that third gear a little longer, I think it would really do good. And terrible final corner, but at that point I had hooked it up enough, I guess, to head it back towards the start-finish line and complete the 126.5. So pretty excited with that one. Clearly freaking out with the steering wheel once we crossed the line and crashed then. So I'll save this. Again, 0212 GPL rank Zandvoort. Save that. All right, so let's exit the sim and we'll get this lap loaded and take a look at what we got left to accomplish for the GPL rank. So I'll throw up a temporary screen. Maybe a little music. Not too bad. 2 tracks in one night. It took a little longer than I wanted to on the second one, but I just knew I had it in me. All right. So if we take a look here, getting closer to filling everything in. I've got really 4 circuits left to get my total time within the Brabham. I know I've got a couple in the other cars, but we got Rouen, we got Silverstone, we got Spa, and then of course the Nürburgring. So overall, closing in on 2 of the times that I was lacking within the Brabham car for the overall negative rank. We'll have to do, at least a couple more sessions here to actually get all of them, but I want to try maybe hit next time. We'll start at Spa or something. No idea. Some of these could be pretty easy. I'm guessing. I haven't done a lot of racing with the profile that I'm uploading to, so I don't even know how relevant this is, but I've done a little bit with the Ferrari, and a little worrying that I'm 5 seconds off at Spa with the Ferrari, but no clue how many laps I did then. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. I appreciate everybody coming out. Had, I think, 50 people in here at one point. And, TJC, you should definitely go to bed if it's 3 a.m. These things are recorded, so you can always watch them later. But appreciate it. A full 2 hours there trying to knock out some of these ranks, and we'll definitely have to come back and do it again. I've got some fun things planned for the next couple of weeks with the channel. Had to do some business trips last week, and so wasn't able to upload as much, but we'll continue our 55 season, and like I said, share a few things that hopefully will be fun to watch. So appreciate everybody joining, and until next time, thank you very much.